Welcome, dear light warriors from once again all over the globe. It's always a magic moment when each of you puts in the chat where you are dialing in from. Beautiful to see such a great and a big group today. We've got something beautiful happening today. And my name is Wouter. I'm your tech host for today. If there are any technical challenges on your side, please give me a direct message and I'll sort you out as soon as possible. And for the kickoff of today's session, I would like to hand it over to our angel host, Inken.
Thank you so much, Wouter. Hello and warm welcome to all the familiar and all the new faces. We are really happy to have you with us. I am Inken and really grateful to be a part of this beautiful hosting team that I have to tell that really works with their heart and soul to hold this safe space every Sunday at the same time for you. Since more than 3 years, we are doing this. And I'm super proud. I feel very blessed that this space exists for all of us, because not only you receive from this space, we feel it's our place for empowerment, for nourishing us, for getting inspiration, for connection, and just for being together. So thank you very much for showing up for yourself today, to be able to receive a very powerful session from our dear master Trent, who is a core member and really stands out with what he's doing. He is an amazing soul that is very gifted. I feel he has so many different things to give to the world. And I feel very blessed that he's a part of our core team. So he's co-creating on a regular basis and is fueling the space with his spirit and with his ideas. Today is a very interesting session. We are all curious and looking forward to that. And this is a session of co-creation, a session that is growing, because it's something that he's trialing with us. And I love that, honestly. I love that the Light Warrior Collective is a space for that, to really build new things together. And I can't wait to receive from you, my master Trent. You have all my trust and belief in today's session that is going to be epic for everyone. So I love to hand it over to you. We are all yours, and just let's get started, guys.
Let's jump right into it, because this is kind of ambitious, and I actually did several versions of it, and I had to just keep whittling it down because I wanted to share so much. This has been such a profound, insightful thing that's happened to me, and I just want to share this with this community, and I want you guys to be able to get the same benefit that I did from this work. And again, I'm still processing that it actually happened. I mean, it's almost unbelievable, but let me tell you the story, right? Let me just get right into it. We'll tell you the story and how you're going to benefit from this today. So it was fall 2022, so not that long ago. And so it was like, I believe, right around Thanksgiving, late November, and then it does go into early December. But about late November, I had COVID for 2 weeks. I had it really bad. So I didn't just, kind of get a cold, for a couple of days. I mean, I was bedridden, 103 plus fever, lost a lot of weight. I lost all my momentum. I'd been traveling, like work travel marketing jobs, and did a lot of really cool things leading up to it. I had a lot of momentum. I was traveling a lot. I was moving around. I had really good health, but I just got to this point to where here I was finding myself bedridden. I had COVID and I just felt terrible. And then all my momentum was gone because I wasn't moving around. I wasn't, traveling. So to make matters worse, the company tells me that's given me these work travel jobs. They said, okay, well, we think you're doing a fine job, but we don't have any more work until sometime in January. Are you going to be willing to work for us in January? I'm going, January? What am I going to do for the next month? I've got bills to pay. I've got, responsibilities. I thought I was going to have more work. So now I'm sick. And now I'm told I'm not going to have work until maybe January, and then maybe the next one doesn't come until February, right? So I've got uncertainty on top of illness. And then on top of that, my brother started getting offers for his place. Now I was renting that, had an agreement with him to rent it because with my travel job, I needed something flexible because most of the time I'm living not at home, right? I'm living in Florida or I'm living in Alabama, like these different places, and I needed like a flexible rent deal. But he started getting these Airbnb offers, like paying 2 or 3 times that I was paying for him. So he's wanting to take those contracts to get me out, but I've got COVID and I don't have any job prospects. So I go, okay, what am I going to do? I'm basically screwed, right? So that's the state that I was. Now, right around this time, despite these challenges, I'm stuck at home, and at the beginning, I didn't feel well enough to do this, but I started Jordan Peterson's self-authoring program. And I didn't have much expectations about it. I searched inside myself and I said, well, what do I do? I'm kind of hitting a wall with things. What do I do? And the message that I got was just go through the program. Just go, do the work. Do the work. You have time now. You're not really, you're not going to be working for about a month at least. So do the work. And I started going through it. It's got three suites. So it's got where you do a whole bunch on your past, you write about your present, and then you write about your future. And I started the past one first. And when I was writing about the past, I started noticing some very strange things. One was that there were certain chapters of my life that were blurry, and that the events that I couldn't remember, like what happened before what. And I was shocked because I thought that I had a pretty clear picture of my history. But there were certain years or certain like eras that it wasn't clear at all. And then the other thing was there was areas that I thought I had gotten over, like, yeah, I'm so over that. I'm past that. I did these healing classes. I've done this or that. But when I started digging deep into it, I would start getting real pissed off, or I'd start being real upset just by going back to that time. And I realized, I was like, wow, there are so many unresolved chapters of my life. And not only unresolved, but chaotic. So I did the work. I didn't have, I didn't have any excuses not to do it. I completed all 3 of them. And at the very end, on the future one, you set goals. And so it was, when I finished that, it was like the week before January 1st. So we're talking, I don't know, December, let's say 27th, 2022. And I finished the program. I set all of my goals. So they are already set before I got to New Year's, but basically the timing was almost perfect. So fast forward to today. Now it's been 5 months since then, but I was doing my goal review, and I realized doing Q1, which is, the end of like March, I said, wait a second, these are my goals for the year. How the hell did I get almost all of my big goals and it's March, right? Like what? This has never happened before. I've done Lifebook. I've done, all sorts of, Brian Tracy, all sorts of that kind of stuff. Tony Robbins, New Year's, and I'd get like maybe 1 or 2 things for the year. I didn't get 4 big things by March. Are you kidding me? So I was blown away. And again, this isn't to brag. This isn't to show off. It's not about the material stuff. It's just to say, what the hell, man? Like, how did this happen? I don't know. So I really thought about it. I said, well, why did this happen? And why did it happen so fast? And what was different between all the New Year's before and now, right? How many times have you set a New Year's resolution and nothing happened, or you failed, or you get maybe one thing for the entire year, right? That's what is kind of average and common. But why would it be so many and so fast? It perplexed me. I really meditated on this for a while. And I have been before presenting this, because I was like, I want to share this with the group, but I need to be able to articulate this. So what is it? What's the secret? Well, here it is. I realized that bringing order and closure, making a cohesive narrative to the unresolved chapters of my life was the missing key. So if you're doing New Year's resolutions and you're starting to think about your future, but you've got all of these chapters that are unresolved, that are chaotic, you don't have the energy, you don't have the power, you don't have the bandwidth to take on some of those projects and to move forward, because a lot of your energy is tied in the past. Let me say it another way, and I really hope this lands with a lot of people today, because this is changing my life. When you bring logic, reason, and order to trauma, you are transmuting it into higher order. You are taking chaos that is within you, that is like attached to you, that is a part of you, and you are transmuting it. You're bringing it out of this mess, right? When you're triggered, when you're traumatized, it's like there's a emotional mess that's within you, and when people talk about that subject or that story, right, it's like that wound. It's like poking a wound. Now, when you're able to bring order to it and closure to it, now you've kind of contained it, and it's not just this seeping wound that's running your life, but rather now you've brought like a higher intelligence to it, and you're able to bring meaning like that you assign to it, versus it being this chaotic mass, right? That's just living within you. I hope this lands, guys. This changed my life. So today's intention is to provide a framework to identify, order, and bring healing to unresolved chapters from your past. Now, we don't have time to do your whole life story today, right? It took me about a month to do that entire program. Now, granted, there was past, present, and future, and we're just talking about the past today, but I do want you to get a framework to get you started and to sample some of what I've experienced through this work. Now, before we get into the writing, I want to do a quick meditation to get us all connected, to get us all present, and to get in the right space to do this. So if you'll sit back, you can close your eyes. I'm going to, I can't see my thing. Stop my video. But go ahead and close your eyes, sit back and relax. Take a deep breath. And as you let it out, let your shoulders drop. Allow yourself to relax. Allow your attention to go a little bit more inward. And take another deep breath and become more present. And relax even more. And you want to imagine that there is a line that goes right through your body from backwards to forwards. The line in front of you is your future. And maybe you can see a little bit into your future. And maybe just enough to where you see the next thing that you got to do. But you've got a line coming from your chest out in front of you, and this represents your future. Now, the line continues behind you, and this is your past. This is your timeline. And you want to begin to get a sense of this. All of the things that you've done, all the events of your life have led up to today and made you who you are. So allow yourself to get a sense of this timeline. What you want to do now is you want to begin to float up from your body and gain perspective. Allow yourself to see more and more of this complete timeline. So as you rise, you gain more and more clarity on your past. And notice what you see. Notice how it's represented to you. How does it look? And also notice, are there any places in your past that are calling you, that are tugging at you to take a closer look? Maybe they're sparkling on your timeline, catching your attention. Allow yourself to receive that now. What is it your soul wants you to review today? What is it that you feel a tug to look at? Allow yourself to receive that intuitive knowledge now. So take another deep breath and allow yourself to receive from your soul any intuitive wisdom it has for you. Allow yourself to start floating back down into your body, back to the present moment as you wiggle your fingers and toes and come back to the call. Okay. So not quite time to bliss out, but enough to get intuition. Okay. So now what we want to do is we want to get the journal out. And so step number 1 and number 2 is to think of your life as a book. And you want to make chapters of your past. And then with every chapter, you want to think, what is the dominant theme? And I'm going to show you an example. I know this, it's hard to like get all the instructions like real simple, but you want to think chapters and you want to think dominant theme. Now, the way that I did it is I thought about the cities that I lived in, because we moved about every 3 or 4 years when I was growing up. I did it based on location. And so what this looks like is this. I did location first, and then I kind of backtracked my age, because that helps you kind of remember what you're going through. And then I just said, what's the thing I'm most present to? So in my first 5 years of life, I don't know, it's kind of scattered memories, maybe a little bit of daycare, a little bit of family, my little brother. And I just I'm calling that early memories. That's that chapter. And then ages 6 through 9, I moved to the Greenville area. And, I was real present to elementary school and, making friends and being socialized more, like that was what I was very present to. And then ages 10 to 13, we moved to a town called Moran. Now, notice here, the thing I'm most present to is struggles with dad, because that was something that started happening there. I was like, oh, wow, when I think about that chapter, I have more of a negative connotation with it. I have more of more triggers, right? Like more trauma there. And so for the sake of today, that would be something that would be a tug, right? So I'm going to give you a few minutes now to go through and do this for yourself if you haven't already started. And we don't have just a lot of time, so you can also think in terms of broad strokes. You can think in terms of phases, but just think of a way to make an outline, like a table of contents, to your book of life. You have 3 more minutes. All right, we have one more minute, so try to do your best to have some type of framework in place. Okay, now feedback, do you guys have something that's at least workable to get you started? Or do you need a little bit more time? Okay, I see some thumbs up. Okay, good. Now again, today's just a sample, so you can see that this is something that you could really dig into and go deep, right? Like you spent hours on, but again, the point of today is just to get you started. Okay. All right, so the next step is under each chapter, you want to list a few major events that come to mind. And again, the more emotionally charged, the better. So when you're looking at it and you're saying, okay, just like I did with my first three on the example, the struggles with dad brought my attention, right? And so even in that chapter, there may be some specific events. So now go through there and start adding that. I'll give you a few minutes to do so. One more minute. Okay. I'm gonna wrap it up. Okay, so the next step, I know you guys are probably still writing events and you can add some if we have time later, but go ahead and let's look at the next steps. You want to pick one event that has emotional resonance, that has a charge for you to work on today. Now, you may not want to get something just so deep, like, you know, your parents divorced when you were a kid. Like maybe you don't want to do that one today, but something that you could, something that maybe that you still feel, but that you feel like you could handle in the time that we have allotted. So look at your list and see which one's calling you, which one's calling your name today. And once you pick one, we're going to do two things. We're going to write an analysis of it, and then we're going to talk about what are the effects. And so the way that I like to say it is simply, first part, right, one paragraph, what happened? And then the second paragraph is like, how has it shaped you as a person you are today? Now, let me give you a quick tip. If you write this and you're coming from a completely negative space, I mean, you can do that and just be like, oh, I hate everybody and this happened to me and life sucks. But what I did that was really helpful is when I wrote this, I would try to think of how I could raise it up a little bit, even if it was like 1%. So how could I even put a frame it as positively as possible, or look at it in the best light possible? And it may be hard, right? Like this horrible thing happened to me when I was a child, right? But if you're saying, okay, well, how has it shaped me as a person today? It's like, well, now I'm aware of boundaries, right? Or now I have a better idea of empathy and compassion because of my hardship. And so here's a sample if you want something to reference. And I'm going to give you, let's see, we're doing on time. I'll give you 7 minutes to work on this. And if there's questions, feel free to send them in the chat. 2 more minutes. Okay, just take a moment to finish up. Anything you need to finish up? And give me a thumbs up when you're ready to move on. Okay, okay, good. All right, so I wanted to make sure we had plenty of time to share our insights today. Let's close out of this. And want to open it up for discussion. So if there's something that you experienced, something that you learned about yourself, now would be a great time to share it.